My name is Fiona Yeager. I am 32 years old. I work as a pediatric ICU nurse in Dayton, Ohio, and I am raising my daughter Lily on my own. She is 8. 3 weeks ago, my appendix ruptured at 2 in the morning. I was on the floor of the nurse station shaking, barely able to see straight. The ER team rolled me into triage within minutes. The surgeon said I needed to be in the operating room within the hour, or the infection would spread. My first thought was not about the surgery. It was about Lily. Home. Asleep. Alone. I called my parents from the ER bed. I was shaking so hard the phone almost slipped out of my hand. I asked them to come get my daughter. What my mother said on that call, and what she did 4 hours later, changed everything between us. But what happened 3 weeks after that, at my parents' own dining table, in front of the entire family, that is the part I still cannot believe I went through with. Welcome back to Calm Drama Stories. This is the place where quiet people finally get to tell their side. If you have ever been the one everyone leans on but nobody thinks to check on, this story is for you. Drop a comment if you have been there. And if you have not subscribed yet, now is the time. I moved back to Dayton 2 years ago. That was the plan. Come home. Be close to family. Give Lily her grandparents. Before Dayton, I was in Columbus. Just me and Lily in a 2-bedroom apartment near the hospital where I worked nights. It was manageable. Tight, but manageable. Then Mom had her first cardiac scare. Dad's knee surgery left him barely able to walk for 6 weeks. Karen, my older sister, called me 3 times that month, and each call ended the same way. "You're a nurse, Fiona. You would know what to do." So I came home. I found a position at Dayton Children's Hospital, pediatric ICU, 3 nights a week, 7 in the evening to 7 in the morning. I enrolled Lily in 3rd grade at the elementary school 4 blocks from our rental house, and I started helping. Because that is what I do. I drove Mom to her cardiologist every 6 weeks, 26 visits over 2 years. I managed Dad's VA disability paperwork, 14 claims submitted, tracked, and followed up. I did Karen's taxes every April, 2 years running, $1,200 per return if she had hired someone. Nobody asked me to do any of it. I just saw what needed doing, and I did it. Nurse brain. You walk into a room. You assess. You act. You do not wait for someone to hand you a clipboard. The family had a word for me. Reliable. They said it at Thanksgiving. They said it when they needed a ride. They said it when they needed a form filled out or an appointment rescheduled, or someone to sit with Dad at the VA office for 4 hours on a Tuesday. Reliable. Like it was a personality trait, and not a job I never applied for. But reliable has a shelf life. I just did not know mine was about to expire. My mother's phone had 47 photos of Mackenzie on it. I know because she showed me the album once, scrolling through with her thumb, narrating each one. This is Mackenzie at volleyball. This is Mackenzie at the lake. This is Mackenzie's homecoming dress. Mackenzie is my sister Karen's daughter. 16, tall, blonde, played varsity volleyball as a sophomore, the kind of grandchild you post about. Lily had 3 photos in my mother's phone. One from Christmas 2 years ago. One from a park. One blurry shot from Easter where Lily was mid-blink. Mom drove 40 minutes to Mackenzie's volleyball games. She never once came to Lily's piano recital. Not the spring one, not the winter one. Lily stopped asking after the second time. Karen's mother-in-law Barb also adored Mackenzie, and that was the problem. Mom and Barb were locked in a quiet competition for Mackenzie's time. Who got her for Thanksgiving? Who took her shopping for prom? Who she called first when she got her learner's permit? When Mom bought matching Taylor Swift friendship bracelets. One for her, one for Mackenzie. She posted the photo that same night. The caption said, "Grandma-granddaughter goals." Heart emoji. Sparkle emoji. I saw the post at 2 in the morning, sitting in the break room of the pediatric ICU, eating a granola bar. Lily was asleep at home. I double-tapped the photo, kept scrolling. I told myself Lily was fine, she had me. She did not need bracelets or Instagram posts. She had a mother who showed up every single day. But Mom said something once that stayed with me. We were in the car after her cardiology visit. She was talking about Mackenzie again. Mackenzie actually wants to hang out with me, Mom said. Some grandkids appreciate their grandparents. I turned onto the highway and did not say a word. My shifts started at 7 in the evening and ended at 7 in the morning. 3 nights a week, sometimes 4 if someone called out. The morning routine was a machine. Alarm at 6:15. Drive to Mrs. Patterson's house. She lived 2 streets over, 74 years old, retired, kind. She watched Lily before school on the nights I worked. I would pick Lily up, drive her home, make sure she had her backpack, her lunch, her jacket. Then I would sleep from 8:30 until 1 or 2 in the afternoon. After that, errands, Mom's appointments, Dad's mail, groceries, laundry, the occasional crisis text from Karen about a form or a deadline. Lily was 8 going on 30. She packed her own lunch most days. Turkey sandwich, apple slices, a juice box. She left notes on the fridge in purple marker. Love you, Mom. Don't forget to eat. I gave the cat extra food because he looked sad. We did not have a cat. She was talking about the neighbor's cat. I had no social life. I had not been on a date since Lily's father left when she was 2. My phone's emergency contacts were Mom, Dad, and the hospital front desk. My best friend was Becca Torres, another nurse on my unit. We talked in the break room at 3 in the morning, and that counted as a social life. I was not lonely. I was efficient. There is a difference. Or at least I thought there was. Mrs. Patterson was wonderful, but she was 74. She took blood pressure medication that made her drowsy after 9 at night. She could handle mornings before school. She could not handle a 2 in the morning emergency. I did not think about that much. Until the Tuesday before everything changed. That Tuesday, I drove Mom to her cardiologist. 45 minutes each way. She sat in the passenger seat and talked about one thing the entire ride, the Eras Tour. Saturday, Fiona, Saturday. I have been waiting 14 months. She pulled out her phone and held it toward me while I was merging onto the highway. Look. Section 112, row F. Do you know how close that is? I glanced at the screen. 2 tickets. Ticketmaster confirmation. Section 112, row F, $900 each, $1,800 total. Your father nearly had a stroke when he saw the credit card statement, she said. She laughed like it was a punchline. What if something comes up Saturday? I asked. Casual. Just a question. Nothing comes up. She put her phone away. I have waited 14 months for these seats. Mackenzie is so excited. She has been making us a playlist for the drive. Us meant Mom and Mackenzie, not Mom and Lily, not Mom and me. I dropped Mom off at her house. She kissed my cheek and said, Thanks, honey. See you next Tuesday. I drove to the hospital for my shift. Parked in the employee lot at 6:47. Walked through the double doors. My stomach started cramping around 11 that night. I thought it was the cafeteria chili. I drank water. I finished my charts. At midnight, the cramps sharpened into something different, a hot, grinding pain in my lower right side. By 1:30, I could not stand up straight. Becca noticed first. Fiona, you're gray. I'm fine. You are not fine. Sit down. I sat down. The pain folded me in half. Becca called the ER team. The world does not stop because you worry about everything. That is what Mom had told me. She was wrong. The world stopped at 1:43 in the morning, in a hallway that smelled like hand sanitizer, because my body finally decided it was done being reliable too. The ER doctor was a woman named Singh. She pressed on my lower right abdomen and I nearly came off the table. CT scan confirms appendicitis, she said. There is significant swelling. We are looking at a possible perforation. How fast? Within the hour. If it ruptures fully, we are dealing with peritonitis. I nodded. I am a nurse. I know what peritonitis means. Infection spreading through the abdominal cavity. Sepsis risk. Organ failure if left untreated. I had seen it in patients. I never expected to be one. But I was not thinking about infection rates. I was thinking about Lily. Home. Asleep. Alone in her bed with the purple comforter. The nightlight shaped like a moon. The neighbor's cat probably sitting on the porch outside her window. Mrs. Patterson was 74, on blood pressure meds. She could not drive at night. She could barely stay awake past 9. Becca stood in the corner of the exam room. She had followed me down from the unit. "What do you need?" she asked. "I need someone at my house in the next 30 minutes, I said. "Lily cannot wake up alone." I picked up my phone. My hands were shaking. I scrolled to Mom's contact, hit call. It rang. Once, twice, 3 times, 4, 5, 6. She picked up on the 6th ring. Her voice was thick with sleep. "Fiona? It is 2 in the morning. Mom, I am in the ER. My appendix is rupturing. I need you to go to my house and be with Lily." Silence. Then a rustle. She was sitting up in bed. "Tonight?" The clock on the ER wall said 2:14. I stared at it. 2:14 in the morning, and my mother said tonight, like I was asking her to reschedule a lunch. "Mom, my appendix is about to rupture. I need surgery in the next hour." "I heard you, Fiona, but the concert is tomorrow. I need my sleep. It is a 3-hour drive to the venue and I cannot be exhausted." I closed my eyes, opened them. The fluorescent light above me was buzzing. "Mom, Lily is home alone." "She is 8, Fiona. She sleeps through the night." I heard muffled talking in the background. Dad's voice. Mom covered the receiver, but I caught pieces. "She wants us to come right now." "For what?" "Her stomach or something." Dad took the phone. His voice was flat and half asleep. "Fiona, can't you call a neighbor? Lily's not a baby. She can stay with someone on the street." "Dad, it is 2 in the morning. I cannot call a neighbor at 2 in the morning for something like this." "Well, your mother has been planning this concert for over a year. We are both tired. Can't the hospital send someone?" Mom took the phone back. I could hear her adjusting her pillow. "Fiona, listen to me. You always figure it out. You always do. Call a friend. Call that girl you work with. I will check on you tomorrow after the show." The line went quiet. Not disconnected. Just quiet. Like she was waiting for me to agree. "Okay, Mom." I hung up, set the phone face down on the hospital bed. The nurse standing in the doorway asked if I was okay. I said yes. I said it the way I said it at every family dinner, every appointment, every holiday where I carried every bag and washed every dish and drove every mile. I said yes because that was the only word they ever wanted to hear. Becca was leaning against the wall with her arms crossed. She had heard enough. "They are not coming," she said. Not a question. "No." "For a concert?" "Taylor Swift, Eras Tour, Section 112, Row F." Becca stared at me for 3 seconds. Then she pulled out her phone. "My cousin Marisol runs an overnight care nurse service. They do emergency placements. I am calling her right now." She walked into the hallway. I heard her voice through the curtain, fast and low. She came back in less than 5 minutes. "Done. Her name is Andrea. She will be at your house by 3. She has your address. She handles kids all the time. Lily will think it is a sleepover." "How much?" $280 for the night." I gave Becca my debit card number from memory. She texted it to Marisol. I lay back on the bed and stared at the ceiling tiles. 47 of them. I counted because that is what I do when I am trying not to scream. The anesthesiologist came in at 2:31. I signed consent forms with a hand that would not stop shaking. The surgical nurse fastened the hospital wristband around my wrist. I looked at it. My name, my date of birth. And underneath, in the emergency contact field, Lily Yeager. Not my mother. Not my father. My 8-year-old daughter. The only person in my family who had never once made me prove I mattered. They wheeled me into the operating room at 2:44. Becca squeezed my hand in the hallway. "Lily is fine," she said. "You are going to be fine." The lights above me were very bright. The anesthesia started as a warmth in my arm. My last thought before I went under was simple and clear. My parents chose Taylor Swift. My coworker chose me. If you have ever been the person everyone calls last but needs first, I see you. Before I tell you what happened next, drop a comment. Have you ever had to handle an emergency completely alone because the people who should have been there just were not? I read every single one. Now, back to what happened when I woke up. I woke up in recovery at 5:40 in the morning, groggy, dry mouth. The pain in my abdomen had been replaced by a dull, heavy ache and the pull of surgical tape. Becca was sitting in the chair beside my bed with a cup of coffee that had gone cold. Appendix was perforated, she said. Dr. Singh said another hour and you would have been looking at peritonitis. You are lucky. Lily? Andrea got there at 2:58. Lily woke up once, saw Andrea, accepted the explanation that mommy had a work emergency, and this nice lady was here for a sleepover. Went right back to sleep. I exhaled. It hurt. Everything hurt. But Lily was safe. I reached for my phone on the bedside tray. The screen lit up. No texts from Mom, no missed calls from Dad. Nothing. One text from Karen, sent at 7:22 in the morning. Mom said you had some stomach thing. Hope you feel better. Mackenzie is so excited for tomorrow. A smiley face emoji. A musical note emoji. I read it twice. My sister knew I was in the hospital. She called it some stomach thing. She followed it with an emoji about a concert. I set the phone face down on the bed. Becca watched me. She did not say anything. She had been a nurse long enough to know when someone needed silence. I lay there for a long time. The room was quiet except for the heart monitor and the hum of the air vent above my head. The refusal was bad. I could almost rationalize the refusal. They were tired. The tickets were expensive. People make selfish choices at 2 in the morning, but the silence after, the absolute unbothered silence, that was the part I could not explain away. I was discharged Saturday morning. Against medical advice, I drove myself home. The surgeon said someone should drive me. I told her someone would. There was no one. Lily ran to the door when I walked in. She hugged my legs and I winced because the incision pulled, but I hugged her back hard enough that she would not notice. Mom, the nurse lady made pancakes. She was so nice. Good. I am glad, baby. Andrea had left a note on the counter. Lily is wonderful. She read me a chapter from her book before bed. Call if you need anything. She had also washed the dishes. A stranger washed my dishes the night my parents chose a concert. I sat down on the couch with a pillow against my stomach. Lily brought me water without being asked. She pulled a blanket off the back of the recliner and draped it over my legs. Are you sick, Mommy? I had a small surgery. I am going to be sore for a few days. Okay, I will be quiet. She went to her room. I picked up my phone. Mom had posted an Instagram story. 6 photos. The first was a mirror selfie. Sparkly top. Hoop earrings. Caption, about to live our best lives. The second was Mom and Mackenzie in matching friendship bracelets. Karen had commented, you two are goals. The third was a selfie inside the arena. I could see the seat number on the armrest behind them. Section 112, row F. Same seats she had shown me in the car 4 days ago. Same seats that cost $900 each. I screenshotted every photo. Not out of spite. I screenshotted them because I needed proof that I was not making this up. That my mother really did go. That Saturday, while my mother danced to Taylor Swift, I sat on my couch with surgical tape on my stomach and made a list. The list started as a way to stay awake. I was on the couch with my laptop balanced on a pillow because I could not sit upright without the incision pulling. Lily was in her room, drawing. The house was quiet. I opened a spreadsheet. Column A. What I did for Mom. Column B. What I did for Dad. Column C. What I did for Karen. I typed fast. Each entry had a date, a description, and an estimated time. Mom. 26 cardiology appointments in 2 years. Average 45 minutes driving each way, plus wait time. Total. Roughly 78 hours just in the car. Dad. 14 VA disability claim submissions. Each one took 2 to 4 hours of paperwork, phone calls, online portal navigation. Total. Roughly 42 hours. Karen. 2 full tax returns. I spent a weekend each April gathering her 1099 forms, her deductions, her mileage logs. She never organized anything. I did it from scratch. Estimated value if she hired a CPA, $1,200 per return. $2,400 total. There were other things. Grocery runs when mom could not drive after a procedure. An afternoon spent setting up dad's new phone because he threw the manual away. The time I rescheduled Karen's car inspection because she forgot, and her registration was about to expire. I totaled it up. Over 400 hours. Over $8,000 in estimated service value. In 2 years. I stared at those numbers. 400 hours. $8,000. And they could not give me one night. I saved the spreadsheet. Named it family_labor_log.xlsx. Closed the laptop. Set it on the coffee table. 400 hours. That is what I was worth to them. Less than 2 concert tickets. I did not cry. I had stopped crying about my family a long time ago. But I did pick up my phone and search for attorneys in Dayton who handled family law. Monday morning. I was still on medical leave. The surgeon had cleared me for light activity but said no lifting, no driving more than 15 minutes, and absolutely no 12-hour shifts for at least 2 weeks. My phone rang at 8:45. It was my supervisor, Donna. "Fiona, I need to talk to you about something. Your mother called the nurse station this morning." I sat up too fast. The incision burned. "She called the unit?" "Twice. The first time she said you were having some kind of emotional crisis and asked us to keep an eye on you. She said you had been ignoring the family and she was worried about your mental state." I pressed my palm flat against my stomach. The surgical tape pulled. "The second time," Donna continued, "she asked the charge nurse whether you were on something, whether you had access to medications that might explain your behavior. My mother had called my workplace. She had told my colleagues, people I work with in a pediatric ICU, people who trust me with the lives of children, that I was unstable, that I might be abusing medication. Donna, I am recovering from an emergency appendectomy. I have not spoken to my mother because she refused to watch my daughter the night of my surgery." Donna paused. "I believe you. I just needed to hear it from you. But Fiona, this cannot happen again. If she calls the unit again, I have to document it." I said I understood. I hung up. Becca texted me 2 minutes later. "Your mom called twice. Second time she told the desk she was worried you were having a breakdown." Direct quote. "My daughter has always been dramatic. I am worried she is having a breakdown." That is when I knew this was not about a concert anymore. Tuesday. I was eating soup on the couch when a text came in from Aunt June. Aunt June was Dad's sister. 64, retired teacher. The kind of woman who never took sides because she believed every story had 2 tellings. She had been at every family dinner for as long as I could remember, always the one pouring iced tea and changing the subject when voices got too loud. Her text said, "Thought you should see this, honey. I am sorry." Below it was a screenshot, a group text. Karen, Mom, and 2 of our cousins from Cincinnati. Karen had written, "Fiona is being ridiculous about the concert thing. She is a nurse. She handles emergencies every day. Now she is acting like we abandoned her? Give me a break." Mom replied, "She has always been like this. Needs to be the center of attention." One of the cousins wrote, "Yikes, is she okay?" Karen, "She is fine. She is just mad because Mom did not drop everything for her one time." I read the messages 3 times. I saved the screenshots. Then I scrolled down. There was one more message in the chain. Aunt June had almost not forwarded it. She told me later she went back and forth for an hour before deciding I needed to see it. It was from Mom, sent at 9:47 on a Sunday night, 2 days after the concert. I read it. Then I read it again. Then I set the phone down on the couch cushion next to me and stared at the wall for a very long time. That message, the one Aunt June almost kept to herself, is the reason I called a lawyer the next morning. The message said, "Honestly, if Fiona wants to play victim, let her. Lily can come live with us when Fiona burns out. She is a single mom on night shifts. It is only a matter of time. I read it 4 times. Each time, the words meant exactly the same thing. My mother was not just dismissing me, she was positioning herself. She was laying the groundwork, in writing, in front of family members, for a narrative in which I was too unstable, too overworked, too alone to raise my own child. And when I inevitably collapsed under the weight of everything I was carrying, she would be there, ready, with open arms and a concerned face and a story about how she had tried to help, but I pushed her away. I had seen this before. In the pediatric ward, parents building a case, grandparents making phone calls, lawyers pulling records. I knew what documentation looked like because I had been on the other side of it, writing incident reports, noting behaviors, filing with social workers. My mother was not a lawyer. She did not know the word documentation, but she was doing it anyway, one group text at a time. I looked at my wrist. The hospital wristband was still there. I had not taken it off. Below my name, in small print, Lily Yeager, emergency contact. I picked up my phone and searched for the number I had saved the day before. Rachel Dunn, attorney, family law and civil disputes. She answered on the second ring. My name is Fiona Yeager. I need a cease and desist letter sent to my mother, and I need to know my rights as a custodial parent. You always figure it out, Fiona. That is what Mom had said on the phone that night. She was right. I was about to. Rachel Dunn's office was on the second floor of a converted Victorian house on 3rd Street. Wood floors, filing cabinets, a framed law degree from Ohio State behind her desk. I brought everything. The screenshots from the group chat, the timeline of Mom's calls to my hospital, the spreadsheet of 400 hours, the Instagram posts. She read through it all in silence. She asked 3 questions. Then she leaned back in her chair. The group chat message is concerning, she said. It is not a formal custody petition, but it shows intent. She is building a narrative in a semi-public forum that you are unfit. Combined with the calls to your employer, which could constitute workplace harassment or defamation, you have a legitimate basis for a cease and desist. What does that actually do? It tells her, formally and legally, to stop. Stop contacting your workplace. Stop making statements about your fitness as a parent. Stop implying she has any claim to custody of your daughter. And if she does not stop, then we escalate. Restraining order, defamation claim, formal response to any custody action. I signed the engagement letter. The consultation costs $350. Rachel said she would draft the letter within the week and send it certified mail. I drove home. Lily was at school. The house was quiet. I sat at the kitchen table with my laptop and opened a new Google Doc. I titled it, Incident Log, Yeager Family. Entry 1, February 14th, 2:14 in the morning. Called parents from ER, requested emergency childcare for minor child Lily. Request denied. I typed every incident. Dated, timed, detailed. I did not want revenge. I wanted a paper trail. I stopped answering calls. I stopped answering texts. I stopped driving Mom to cardiology. I stopped managing Dad's VA paperwork. I stopped everything. Day 1. Mom texted twice. Call me when you get a chance. Fiona. Day 2. Nothing. Day 3. Mom texted 11 times. Why won't you call me back? This is childish, Fiona. Your father is upset. I don't understand what's happening. Are you punishing us for one night? We are your parents. Fine, be that way. Day 4. Dad called once. I let it ring. Day 5. Karen texted. Mom is really upset. Can you just call her? It is not that serious. You had a surgery, you are fine now, can we please move on? I read it. Did not reply. Day 7. Dad left a voicemail. His voice was quiet and tired. Fiona. Your mother has been crying all week. You are making this worse than it needs to be. Just call her. We can talk about it. I did not call. Lily noticed. Of course she noticed. She was 8. Not blind. Are we seeing Grandma this weekend? Not this time, sweetheart. How come? Grandma and I need a little break. Like a timeout? Something like that. She went back to her coloring book. She did not ask again for 3 days. The silence was louder than any argument. I had never gone more than 2 days without talking to my mother. Even when I lived in Columbus, we spoke on the phone every other day. She told me about her shows. I told her about Lily's school projects. It was routine. It was the background hum of a family. Now the hum was gone. And by day 10, the voicemails stopped. But the problems had just started. Day 12. A Wednesday. Rachel Dunn called to confirm the letter had been sent. Certified mail. Return receipt requested. The cease and desist was 2 pages. Single-spaced. Legal letterhead from Dunn and Associates. It stated, in precise language, that Diane Yeager was to immediately cease all contact with Fiona Yeager's place of employment. That she was to refrain from making any public or semi-public statements regarding Fiona's mental health, parenting capacity, or fitness as a custodial parent. That any further attempts to contact Fiona's workplace or suggest custodial interference would result in formal legal action, including but not limited to a restraining order and a civil defamation claim. The green certified mail card came back signed the next day. Mom had signed it herself. By Thursday evening, my phone had 17 missed calls from numbers I recognized. Karen texted first, all caps. A cease and desist? From your own mother? What is wrong with you? I blocked Karen's number. Mom called from Dad's phone, then from the house landline, then from Karen's phone. I blocked all 3. Dad did not text. He never texted. But Aunt June called and said he had been sitting in the garage for 2 hours, staring at the wall. He does not know what to do, June said. He knew what to do 3 weeks ago. He told me to call a neighbor. June was quiet for a moment. I am not defending him, honey. I am just telling you. 12 days of silence. 1 certified letter. And suddenly, I was the villain. That is the thing about boundaries. When you have never had them, the first one feels like an earthquake to the people standing on the other side. 2 weeks without Fiona. That is how long it took for things to start falling apart. Mom missed her cardiology appointment. She did not know the address by heart. I had always driven her. She went to the wrong medical complex. There are 2 in Dayton with similar names. Sat in the waiting room for 40 minutes, and was told her doctor was in the other building across town. She missed the appointment entirely. Dad's VA claim deadline came and went. He did not know the paperwork was due. He did not know which forms to use. He called the VA hotline and spent 3 hours on hold before being transferred to the wrong department. The claim was flagged as delinquent. Karen called a CPA for the first time in her life. The bill was $600. $600, Aunt June told me on the phone. She almost laughed. For what you did for free. June had been giving me updates every few days. Not gossip, information. She was the only family member I had not blocked, and she understood why. Your mother told everyone at church that you are going through something, June said. She is using the same line with everyone. Fiona is having a hard time. We are giving her space. She cannot admit what actually happened, so she rewrote it. I know. What are you going to do? I had been thinking about it for 3 days. I had the spreadsheet. I had the screenshots. I had the Instagram posts. I had the incident log. And I had a date on the calendar. I am going to Sunday dinner. June was quiet. Sunday dinner, I said. 3 weeks to the day since my appendix ruptured. Every single family member will be there. Fiona, are you sure? I have never been more sure of anything. I know what you are thinking. Sunday dinner? Really? After everything? Trust me, I asked myself the same thing. But here is the thing about quiet people. When we finally speak up, we make sure there are witnesses. Hit subscribe if you want to see how this dinner goes. It is about to get very real. The days before Sunday were quiet. I was almost fully recovered. The incision had closed. The soreness had faded to a dull reminder whenever I twisted wrong. Aunt June kept me updated. Mom rescheduled the cardiology appointment but needed Karen to drive her. Karen complained the entire time. I have showings on Tuesdays, Mom. I can't be doing this every 6 weeks. Dad tried to file his VA claim online. He created an account, forgot the password immediately, called the reset line, got locked out for 24 hours, and then called June in a panic. "I don't know how Fiona did this," he told her. June said he sounded like a man who had lost his GPS in the middle of a desert. Karen's new CPA sent her a list of documents she needed. Karen did not have half of them. She called Mom. Mom did not have them either. They were all in a folder on my laptop. A folder labeled Karen Taxes. $600. That is what it cost to replace me. And that was just for Karen. Mom had also posted on Instagram. Not the usual content. She had deleted every Eras Tour photo. Every picture of her and Mackenzie at the arena. Every sparkly selfie. Every friendship bracelet shot. Gone. In their place was a single post. A sunset over a field. No caption. "She knows," June said. "She won't say it, but she knows." I did not reply. I was sitting at my kitchen table with a manila folder, a printer, and the spreadsheet that documented 400 hours of free labor. I printed the spreadsheet. I printed the group chat screenshots. I printed the Instagram posts. All the ones she had deleted, because I had saved them. I was not going to Sunday dinner to make peace. I was going to tell the truth. Saturday night. Lily was asleep. I sat at the kitchen table with everything spread out. Page 1, the spreadsheet. 400 hours, $8,000. Every line item dated. Page 2, the group chat screenshots. Karen's messages. Mom's messages. The one about Lily. Page 3, the Instagram printouts. 47 photos of Mackenzie. 3 of Lily. The Eras Tour selfies. Section 112. Row F, visible in the background. I did not print the cease and desist letter. That was between lawyers. It had done its job. The letter had drawn the legal line. Sunday was personal. I put everything in a manila folder. Brown, plain. The kind you buy in a 10-pack at the office supply store. I practiced what I would say. Not a speech. Fiona Yeager does not make speeches. I practice the facts, numbers, dates, direct quotes, clinical, accurate. I wanted to be the nurse, not the patient. I thought. Calm, precise, no raised voice, no tears. I called Aunt June. "I am coming tomorrow, don't tell them." "I won't." "But Fiona. Everyone will be there. Your Uncle Hank. Linda from church. The whole table." "I know. That is the point." June paused. "Be careful." "I will be honest. That is the most careful thing I have ever done." I looked at the C&D envelope still sitting on my kitchen counter. Green certified mail sticker on the front. Legal firm return address in the corner. I picked it up, held it for a moment, and set it back down. The letter had done its job. Sunday was mine. I put the manila folder in my bag, zipped it shut, went to bed. For the first time in 3 weeks, I slept through the night. Sunday morning. Clear sky. March in Ohio is unpredictable, but that day was sharp and bright, like the weather had decided to cooperate. I dressed Lily in her favorite dress, yellow with white daisies. She had not worn it since Christmas. "Are we really going to Grandma's?" "Yes, baby." "Is the timeout over?" "We will see." I buckled her into the car seat and drove the 14 minutes to my parents' house, the same house I grew up in. White siding, green shutters. The rose bushes along the front walk that Mom used to make me water every Saturday. I parked on the street, saw the cars, Karen's silver SUV in the driveway, Aunt June's blue sedan behind it, Uncle Hank's red truck at the curb, Linda's white minivan across the street. Linda was the pastor's wife at the Methodist church. She had known our family for 20 years. Full house. Exactly as I expected. I turned off the engine. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Not from fear. From adrenaline. The same feeling I got before a code in the ICU. When everything narrows to the next 60 seconds and you know exactly what needs to happen. Lily unbuckled her seatbelt. "Mommy, are you mad at Grandma?" I looked at her in the rearview mirror. Purple backpack on her lap, hair in 2 braids I had done that morning. No, sweetheart, I am not mad. I am just going to tell the truth. Is the truth going to make Grandma sad? Maybe, but the truth is still the truth. She nodded like that made perfect sense. 8 years old, turkey sandwiches and purple marker notes and more wisdom than half the adults in that house. I picked up my bag. We walked to the front door. I rang the bell. The door opened. Dad. His face went white. Not red, not surprised. White. Like he had been expecting this and dreading it at the same time. Fiona? Hi, Dad. He stepped back. I walked in. Lily slipped past me and ran toward the kitchen. Aunt June, do you have cookies? The living room was exactly as I remembered. Same brown couch. Same family photos on the mantel. Same clock ticking on the wall above the TV. Everyone was already seated or standing near the dining table. Mom stood up from the couch. She was wearing the cream cardigan she always wore on Sundays. Her eyes were red. She had been crying already, or she had been ready to cry. With Mom, it was hard to tell the difference. Fiona. Her voice cracked. Oh my God. Come here, honey. She opened her arms. I did not move. I am not here for a hug, Mom. The room went quiet. The kind of quiet where you can hear the clock. Where you can hear the ice settling in someone's glass. Karen appeared in the kitchen doorway. Dish towel over her shoulder. Arms crossed. Oh, so now you show up? I did not look at Karen. I looked at the dining table. Mashed potatoes, roast chicken, grandmother's tablecloth, the white linen one with the lace edges that came out every Sunday. Same tablecloth from every holiday, every birthday, every family argument that got smoothed over by dessert. Today, it was not getting smoothed over. Fiona, Mom said again. Her arms were still open. Please, we can talk about this. We are going to talk about it, I said. Right here, right now, in front of everyone. I reached into my bag and pulled out the folder. I set the folder on the dining table, right next to the mashed potatoes. The manila folder looked plain and ordinary against grandmother's white lace tablecloth, but it was the heaviest thing in the room. I opened it. Page 1 was on top. The spreadsheet. This is a log, I said. My voice was even, level. The same voice I used when I briefed a surgeon on a patient's vitals. A log of every errand, every appointment, every service I have provided for this family over the past 2 years. Mom sat down slowly. Karen stayed in the doorway. Uncle Hank leaned forward. Linda folded her hands in her lap. 26 cardiology visits, I said. 45 minutes each way. That is 78 hours of driving? I looked at Mom. For you. She opened her mouth. I kept going. 14 VA disability claim submissions, an average of 3 hours each. That is 42 hours of paperwork and phone calls. I looked at Dad. For you. Dad stared at the table. 2 years of tax returns, $1,200 each if you hired a professional, $2,400 total. I looked at Karen. For you. Karen's arms dropped to her sides. The dish towel slid off her shoulder. Grocery runs, phone setups, car inspections, insurance calls, over 400 hours, over $8,000 in estimated value. I closed the spreadsheet page and set it flat on the table where everyone could see the numbers. That is what I have done for this family. In 2 years. For free. Without being asked. Without being thanked. Uncle Hank picked up the spreadsheet. Read it. Set it down. Looked at Dad. I am not here to argue, I said. I am here to show you what you lost. I turned to face the full table. Aunt June was sitting at the far end with Lily on her lap, feeding her a cookie. Uncle Hank was on my left, Linda on my right. Mom and Dad across from me. Karen still standing. 3 weeks ago, I said, my appendix ruptured at 2 a.m. I was at work. I collapsed in the hallway of the pediatric ICU. The ER doctor told me I needed surgery within the hour, or I would develop peritonitis. Linda put her hand over her mouth. My daughter was home, asleep, alone. My neighbor is 74 and cannot drive at night. I had no one. I paused. Let the room sit with that, I called my parents from the ER at 2:14 in the morning. I asked them to come to my house and stay with Lily. Mom. Fiona. This is not the place for. They said no. I said it clear. Steady. They had Taylor Swift tickets. Eras Tour. $1,800. Section 112. Row F. The concert was the next day, and Mom needed her sleep. Uncle Hank set down his fork. My father got on the phone and said, I looked at Dad. Can't you call a neighbor? Lily's not a baby. Linda turned to look at Dad. He did not look up. And my mother said this. I kept my voice flat. Clinical. You always figure it out, Fiona. You always do. Silence. The clock ticked. Someone's ice shifted in their glass. I figured it out. I called a night nurse from my hospital bed. She arrived at my house at 2:58 in the morning. She cost me $280. My co-worker arranged it because my own parents would not come. The phone call lasted 37 seconds. That is how long it took for my parents to choose a concert over their granddaughter. I turned to page 2 in the folder, the group chat screenshots. After the surgery, I stopped calling. I needed to recover. I needed to think. And while I was doing that, this is what was happening behind my back. I held up the printout. Karen's group text. Mom's replies. Karen wrote this to our cousins. I read it aloud. Fiona is being ridiculous about the concert thing. She is a nurse. She handles emergencies every day. Now she is acting like we abandoned her. Give me a break. Karen took a step forward. That was a private conversation. It was a group text with 4 people. I did not raise my voice. That is not private. That is an audience. I read Mom's reply. She has always been like this. Needs to be the center of attention. Mom covered her face with both hands. But this is the one I want everyone in this room to hear. I held up the last screenshot. This is what my mother wrote on a Sunday night, 9 days after my surgery. I read it word by word. If Fiona wants to play victim, let her. Lily can come live with us when Fiona burns out. She is a single mom on night shifts. It is only a matter of time. The room did not breathe. Karen lunged for the papers. I stepped back. She grabbed air. There is more, I said. But that is the one I wanted you all to hear. My mother, in writing, told our family that she is waiting for me to fail so she can take my daughter. Pastor's wife Linda stood up from the table. She looked at Mom. She looked at me. Then she sat back down and folded her hands in her lap. Her lips were pressed into a thin, tight line. That is when Mom started crying. But not the kind of crying you feel sorry for. Mom's crying was loud, theatrical. The kind of crying that fills a room and demands that everyone stop what they are doing and tend to her. You don't understand, she sobbed. None of you understand. She looked around the table, looking for allies, looking for someone to say, it's okay, Diane. Nobody said it. Mackenzie was choosing Barb over me, every holiday, every weekend. Barb got the sleepovers. Barb got the phone calls. That concert was the first time Mackenzie picked me, the first time in 3 years she wanted to spend a whole day with me. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. For a moment, one single moment, I saw it, the fear underneath. A grandmother terrified of being forgotten by a 16-year-old girl who had a dozen people competing for her attention. It was human. It was real. It almost made me feel something. Then she turned to me. And now you are turning the whole family against me because of one night? One night, Fiona. I have given you everything. I raised you. I fed you. I kept a roof over your head for 18 years. And you are going to destroy this family over concert tickets? The room was watching. Everyone was watching. I waited until she was done. Then I spoke. It was not one night, Mom. My voice did not waver. It was every night I drove you to the doctor. Every form I filled out for Dad. Every tax return for Karen. You did not forget me for one night. You forgot me for 2 years. Mom stared at me. Her mouth opened but nothing came out. I am not turning anyone against you. I am just reading what you wrote. Out loud. In your own words. The clock ticked. Nobody moved. Karen broke first. "This is so typical," she said. Her voice was sharp and rising. "So typical Fiona. Making everything about herself. You are a nurse. You do this for strangers every single day. But when it is your own family, suddenly it is the end of the world?" Uncle Hank looked at her. "Karen. She was in emergency surgery. She could have called someone else." "She did," I said. "I called a night nurse. From my hospital bed. It cost me $280. The room went still again. "Also, Karen." I kept my tone the same. Flat. Factual. "I know about the phone calls." Karen blinked. "What phone calls?" "Mom called my hospital, twice. She told my supervisor, the person who oversees my ability to work in a pediatric ICU, that I was having a mental breakdown." I turned to the room. "She told my charge nurse, and I am quoting directly, 'My daughter has always been dramatic. I am worried she is having a breakdown.'" Linda spoke for the first time. "Diane, you called her job?" Mom's crying shifted. It got quieter, smaller. The performative edge fell away, and what was left was something closer to panic. "I was worried about her," Mom whispered. "You were not worried about me. You were worried about yourself. You were worried that I would tell people what happened, so you called first and told them I was crazy." Karen turned to Mom. "You told me you just checked on her." "I did check on her." "You called her boss and said she was on drugs." Mom's face crumpled. Karen's face went red. Dad stared at a spot on the tablecloth and did not blink. The family was splitting in real time, and I had not raised my voice once. Everyone looked at Dad. He had not spoken since the doorbell. He was sitting at the head of the table with his hands flat on the tablecloth, staring at his plate of untouched roast chicken. "Gerald," Uncle Hank said, "you got anything to say?" Dad cleared his throat. "Fiona, can we talk about this privately?" "No, Dad. You had a chance to talk privately, at 2:14 in the morning, when I called from the ER. I held his gaze. "You told me Lily was not a baby. You told me she could stay with a neighbor, and then you went back to bed." Uncle Hank's jaw tightened. "Gerald, she is 8 years old." "I was half asleep," Dad said. His voice was barely above a whisper. "I did not know how serious it was. I told you my appendix was rupturing. I told you I needed surgery within the hour. You said call a neighbor and handed the phone back to Mom." Dad closed his eyes. His hands pressed flat against the tablecloth, hard enough that his knuckles went white. "Your mother said you would be fine." "I know what Mom said." I looked at him. Steady. "Mom said I always figure it out." "And she was right?" I paused. Let the silence hold. "I figured it out, Dad. I figured out that in this family, reliable means replaceable. I figured out that 400 hours of free labor and 26 drives to the cardiologist count for less than 2 concert tickets. I figured out that when I needed someone at 2 in the morning, my coworker showed up, and my parents did not." My voice stayed level. I had not raised it once. Mom was crying. Karen was fuming. Dad was staring at the tablecloth. But I was done talking about what happened. Now I was going to talk about what comes next. I closed the folder. I set it on the table. I stood straight. "I am not here to punish anyone," I said. "I am here to tell you what is going to change." The room waited. Aunt June had her arm around Lily in the kitchen doorway. Lily was eating a cookie, watching me with big eyes. "I will not be driving Mom to appointments anymore. If you need a ride, call Karen. Or call an Uber. Or call the medical transport service your insurance covers. I will give you the number." Mom's crying had stopped. She was just staring. "I will not be filing Dad's VA claims. The VA has a toll-free helpline. I will write it down for you before I leave." Dad did not look up. "I will not be doing Karen's taxes. You have a CPA now. She charges $600. That is the actual cost of what I was doing for free." Karen opened her mouth. Closed it. "And if you want to see Lily?" I let that land. "You will call me first. Not text. Not show up. Not send Karen. You will call me, and I will decide." You can't keep my granddaughter from me, Mom said. Her voice was raw. I am not keeping her from you, Mom. You kept yourself from her. I held her eyes. On a Saturday night, in section 112, row F. The room was perfectly still. Uncle Hank nodded once. Linda had tears on her cheeks. Karen was gripping the back of a chair. I picked up Lily. She wrapped her arms around my neck. I walked to the front door. Fiona, Aunt June said from behind me. I turned. She nodded. Just a nod. Quiet. Solid. Drive safe, honey. I carried Lily to the car, buckled her in. She fell asleep before we reached the end of the street. The folder stayed on the dining table, right next to the mashed potatoes, on top of grandmother's white lace tablecloth. I drove home in silence. That night, Aunt June called. You should know what happened after you left, she said. Karen grabbed her purse and walked out about 2 minutes after you did, slammed the front door hard enough to rattle the pictures on the wall. And Mom? She sat at the table for a long time. Did not eat, did not talk. Your father went to the garage. Linda said a prayer and excused herself. Hank and I cleaned up. Did Mom say anything? She picked up the folder, read through every page. Then she set it back down and said, I did not know she kept track. That is all she said. I sat on my couch in the dark. Lily was asleep in her room. The house was quiet. The next day, Mom's Instagram changed. She deleted every remaining post. Not just the Eras Tour photos. Everything. Her account went blank. A white square with no bio. 2 days later, Dad called. Not from home. From a payphone at the hardware store. His cell was dead. He did not know how to charge it without me setting it up. He left a voicemail. Shoit. I am sorry, kiddo. I should have come that night. I know that now. I should have put on my shoes and driven to your house. I am sorry. I listened to it sitting on the edge of my bed. I played it twice. Then I saved it. Sorry was a start. But I was not ready to hear it yet. 2 days later, a text came in from an unknown number. Aunt Fiona, it is Mackenzie. I just found out what happened. Mom told me the whole thing. Not her version. The real version. Aunt June called her. A pause. 3 dots blinking. Then. I am so sorry. I did not know about any of it. Grandma never told me why you stopped coming around. She just said you were busy. If I had known, I would have told Grandma to go to your house. I would have stayed with Lily myself. I babysit all the time. I am 16. I sat with that message for a long time. Then I typed. I know you would have, sweetheart. This is not about you. I know. But I still feel bad. Don't. You did not do anything wrong. I set the phone down. Mackenzie did not choose to be the favorite. She was just a kid standing in the spotlight her grandmother had pointed at her. She did not ask for the bracelets or the Instagram posts or the front row seats. She was 16. She wanted to see Taylor Swift with her grandma. There was nothing wrong with that. The wrong part was everything else. 3 months later. Things had changed. Mom called once a month. Brief. Polite. How is Lily? She is good. Okay. Give her a hug for me. That was it. No guilt trips. No tears. No group texts. The cease and desist had drawn a line, and for the first time in her life, Mom was standing behind it. Dad mailed a birthday card for Lily in April. Inside was a $50 bill and a note written in his own handwriting. Shaky, slanted, misspelled. Happy birthday, Lilybug. Love, Grandpa. It was the first card in 3 years that was not signed by Mom. Karen hired the CPA permanently. She had not spoken to me directly since Sunday dinner. I did not expect her to. Some bridges do not rebuild, they just stop burning. I joined a Wednesday night yoga class at the community center, my first regular social activity in 2 years. I met a woman named Patty who also worked nights at a hospital. We got coffee after class sometimes. One evening, cleaning out a drawer, I found the hospital wristband. My name, my date of birth. Lily Yeager in the emergency contact field. I held it for a moment. Then I placed it in Lily's baby memory box, next to her first pair of shoes and her coming home outfit. Some things you keep. Not because they are precious, because they are proof. Lily asked me once, a few weeks after the dinner. We were eating mac and cheese at the kitchen table. Just us? Does Grandma still love us? I set my fork down. Yes. She does. But love and showing up are two different things. And you deserve both. She nodded. Took another bite. I think so too. I spent 32 years being the person who figured it out. The fixer. The driver. The one who filed the forms and made the calls and showed up even when nobody showed up for me. The night my appendix ruptured, I figured out the most important thing I have ever learned. The people who love you do not make you prove it from a hospital bed. You always figure it out, Fiona. Mom was right. I finally did. That is my story. One phone call. One concert. One dinner table. If this reminded you to stop carrying people who refuse to carry you, share this video. Drop a comment. Hit subscribe. I will see you in the next one.